2023.
Welcome to my weekly update. I have a guest today, Lori White, who founded the Missouri Valley Voices. I asked Lori to come today because, like her, I'm going to assume some of the members of the Harrison County Board of Supervisors, and again herself, have been contacted by individuals in the county who are questioning the residency of the Harrison County Attorney. So quickly, I wanted to ask Lori first. Lori, can you tell me why you founded the Missouri Valley Voices and what the purpose of Missouri Valley Voices is?
Yeah. I saw a pretty clear need in Missouri Valley for a place people could go where they could talk. They could go without being shut down. They could have open communication. If you go out there, we disagree with each other quite a bit on a lot of stuff. It can get heated, but nobody gets deleted. Nobody gets blocked. We are allowed to have hard conversations that should have been had decades ago. So.
And you seem like you've got people outside of Missouri Valley also joining the page, is that correct?
Yeah, there's people in Harrison County because I very much, this isn't just a Missouri Valley situation, this is a Harrison County situation. I am championing for transparency and accountability for everybody. I think for far too long citizens have kind of been told, sit down, shut up, be grateful for what you have, or get out. And I think that's the wrong attitude. I think that everybody has a right to want a certain quality of life. We all pay taxes. I think everybody has the right to want transparency and accountability and to know where our tax funds are going, and to hold our both paid employees and elected officials accountable. We're held accountable. They should be held accountable.
Well, I agree with that. So you are championing this issue because of a resident reached out to you or residents reached out to you,
Yep.
Not because this is something you are just doing on your own.
Yeah, so everything I typically touch is prompted by a resident coming to me, a resident of Harrison County, presenting something to me. There's a lot of stuff that has been brought to me, and some of it, I've got a list of things priority-wise that maybe are lower and some that are higher. This one is a pretty big deal to me. So when I have multiple people coming to me who are questioning it, and not just questioning it, but saying, I have personally witnessed that she does not live in Harrison County, then I start looking into things. And when I start looking into things and I find out that, oh, this might be something, yes, I'm going to look into that. And I will look into that for any one of you. For any issue you have that I can help you with, I will do that. And it is free. I give my time for free.
So I went on to the Harrison County website and checked the Harrison County minutes because I wanted a time frame for you and for the people watching of exactly what took place when the current county attorney was appointed. So on July 11th, 2024, County Attorney Ashley West was appointed as a District 4 Associate Judge by Governor Kim Reynolds. Shortly after, a week after, July 18th, West informed the Board of Supervisors she may have an attorney interested in her current role. On August 1st, 2024, the Board of Supervisors discussed a vacancy for county attorney and approving a post or advertisement for the position called Notice of Intent to Fill the Vacancy of the County Attorney. Just 11 days later, the Board of Supervisors appointed Sarah Delante, and it was effective immediately that day on August 12th.
Can I point out that this is just 6 business days? It might look like, oh, there's 11 days. There's 6 business days in between these two things happening. That's strange to me.
Yeah, usually, especially for someone in this role, you see a longer time frame for advertisement. I'm surprised they didn't reach out to the Iowa Bar Association to see if there was any other individuals. But on November 5th, 2024, Sarah Delante was elected by The vote of her peers as a Harrison County attorney, it was uncontested. There was no other people, my understanding, who ran on the ballot for the Harrison County attorney. She was endorsed by the Board of Supervisors through appointment, and my understanding is they signed her nomination papers. Another point is even our new representative, our current representative, Rebecca Wilkerson, signed her nomination papers, and according to the board minutes, Rebecca was present for these meetings. So all three of the current Board of Supervisors know Sarah. They've heard information about Sarah at the meetings, and they have endorsed and supported her as a Harrison County attorney, is my understanding based on the little bit in the Harrison County minutes. So when you reached out to the county, what paperwork did you request, and when exactly did you reach out to them with questions?
So I initially reached out in October. It was October 16th of this year. And I asked for all of her paperwork associated with her running for office. So her affidavit of eligibility, the forms that people sign showing their support for her, which is where you got your Board of Supervisors signed the forms to get her up for election, her nomination paperwork, yeah. Her oath of office, her resume, things of that nature. And what the paperwork shows is residency versus mailing address. That paperwork is notarized, and the mailing address on there is the permanent residence that Sarah has had for a very long time. So my understanding of what the information that's been provided to me by both the open records request, what I can see, and the citizens reaching out to me is that Sarah does live in Charter Oaks, which is Crawford County, which is not Harrison County, obviously, and that is her permanent residence. So what it looks like is happening, again, by witnesses who are sharing information, is she is renting a room from a family home, where that family home is occupied by the family. So this is not an apartment, it's not a townhome, it's nothing like that. So shortly to the prior to the election, she rented a room from a family home. So what that appears to be is renting a room so that you can be in the county of record that is required by election law for the Harrison County attorney to live in the residence, the county in which they are serving. So that's what it appears to be. And you know, if an elected official knowingly, this isn't a passive situation, this is very active. If you knowingly approach a family and say, hey, can I rent a room? Now, my hope is, I have something here, it's a letter that's going to the family who owns the home, who live in the home, to ask them for their own, you know, summary of what the situation is for them. I'm not assuming that they are part of this in any way, knowingly a part of helping somebody circumvent election law. However, to me, what the story is kind of telling is that the residency is being bypassed or kind of massaged to make it look one way when the reality is totally different, including the paperwork showing that her mailing address is in Crawford County, where her permanent residence has been. Another thing, I just did an open records request with the county today because her voting registration is inactive. We just looked at that timeline. She was elected in November of 2024. So at that time, you have to show that you are an active voter. Okay. So in between that time and now, which is a little over 1 year, your voter registration doesn't just become inactive. That typically happens when mail is being returned. So if they attempted to mail it to the place she has claimed as her permanent residence and it has come back, they then could mark it inactive. I don't know if that's why, which is why I did the open records request to verify that information. But we do know, according to the documents, that her permanent residence is what is still her mailing address.
So you looked at the affidavit of candidacy, and on it was her residency address, which showed Dunlap, Iowa,
Right.
and her mailing address, which showed Charter Oak, Iowa.
Right.
Okay, and so the question is, if the address in Dunlap, Iowa is actually where she currently resides?
Yep.
Am I understanding
That is correct,
Okay.
yes.
So on my own paperwork that I had to disclose and can be looked at by anyone, I had to show, running for Iowa House District 15, I have to show both my residency address and my mailing address. The reason for that is a lot of people, elected officials included, have more than one address, meaning a post office box and or an office. So in this case, an attorney might have a residency address and have a law firm, and so, and or a post office box where her mail goes. In this situation, my understanding is, because I looked up the addresses myself, and it shows 2 homes. So there is a home in Dunlap,
Yep.
and a home in Charter Oak.
Correct.
And the home in Dunlap shows another family that owns it. So again, I want to be clear. She has 2 different addresses. One is in Dunlap, renting a room
Yep.
from a family, and one is in Charter Oak. So what information was on the forms for the county attorney? We just discussed that. And would you please explain to me the campaign law you're concerned with in connection with those addresses? What law are you referring to, so people understand, which says you have to be a resident of Harrison County to represent citizens of Harrison County? Because it's much different than being a regular employee.
Right.
This is an elected official.
Yeah, so there is statutory Iowa law that requires you to be a resident in which you serve as the county attorney. Not to be confused with voter registration, because I know there's conversation about voter registration, you're allowed to have 2 homes. You're allowed to have 2 homes when you run for election. The question here is about residency, and Iowa is very clear, particularly when it comes to election, about what is defined as residency. It's where you spend most of your time. It's where you put your head down to bed. It's where you get your mail. It's where you have your utilities. It's all of the things, if none of us are playing games, it's all the things we know residency is, right? Like, you're not, and the other thing I do want to point out here is when we had that Board of Supervisors meeting, you were there on Thursday.
December 4th, yeah.
Yes. Tony, who's one of the Board of Supervisors, specifically stated that he called the homeowners of that home to confirm that Sarah was renting a room. So there's no debate about whether it's a house. She is renting a room inside of another family's home. So Iowa, as far as residency goes, it's not meant to be a temporary situation. It's meant to be, what is your permanent address?
So even for an elected board position or an appointed board position in Harrison County, I just received this from one of the Board of Supervisors. It shows an application if you want to be on a board, and you have to put your address, and this is public record. So anything that Lori is asking for is public record. You can go to the courthouse, you can check this information out at any time. Just like nomination papers, and I'll show you my nomination papers here. I have a few here. Everyone that has signed my nomination papers, it has to show their address, and this actually is for the city of Dunlap. I went up there and walked and asked people to sign my petition to run. The reason why they want to see your address is they want to make sure you are a voter in Harrison County and that you live in Harrison County. That's a big issue in this country right now. Voter fraud and election fraud, and I think that's part of what you're trying to combat with this, even at a local level. So the county attorney was very clear and stated at the Board of Supervisors meeting on December 4th that she is a resident of Harrison County. What needs to be done to satisfy the curiosity of the individuals who have reached out to you, what do they need to believe that Sarah actually is a resident of Harrison County?
Yeah, I think this goes far beyond curiosity, because the people who are reaching out to me to say, hey, she is not a resident of Harrison County, and here's the information I have, and here's what I witnessed, and this is where she really resides. So for me, my goal is to address the citizens' concerns. So for me, it's not curiosity, it's a concern, and it's a serious concern. So what I'm doing is I'm gathering statements from people, both in Crawford County and Harrison County, that have actual eyewitness facts that can share with me what they have experienced. This letter, I'm hoping that the residents are willing to share with me the time that Sarah started renting the room.
The residents of the home in Dunlap,
Yes.
where she lives.
Yep, now they are not legally required to respond to me, but I am asking for them to share the lease if they're willing, share the timeline where she started to lease that room, because that timeline is very important around the election piece. I've also been told by a board of supervisor individual that in a public meeting, Sarah had mentioned if she got elected, she would be moving to Harrison County. So there's a lot of things that are at play here that are leaning one way over the other. So for me, I'm just fact gathering. What I will do is I will take all the information I have, I will take it back to the county auditor, and I will do a residency challenge.
So what's a residency challenge?
It's when you challenge, based on the information that you have, the legitimacy of an election.
Okay.
And it's not to push Sarah out of her role. It's that when you are in a role like that and you are enforcing the law with criminals, you have to do better than the standard person. You have to be better. You have to follow the law. And if you don't, this is what happens. Citizens are concerned. They can question everything you've done. It's a scary situation. So when we challenge the residency, the county auditor will then be required to take the information, and there will be a public hearing.
So the county auditor of Harrison County, once you have collected all the information, you are going to request a public hearing.
Yes.
And the county auditor will have to ask questions
Yes.
to the county attorney and any other individuals. I'm assuming the residents of the home
Yep.
where she lives, that she resides with currently, will also be there. And the county auditor will have to ask them to publicly say that Sarah lives with them and they're all just one big happy family. Am I understanding that correctly?
So I know that Sarah will have to respond.
Okay.
I'm still working through what this process looks like. If I challenge and request a hearing, the county auditor does have to have a hearing. We know that we're going to ask the board of supervisors questions, because potentially pull emails, see what they did or did not know.
Oh, so they'll also be involved in the hearing, the board of supervisors?
They should be, yeah.
Okay.
They should be, yeah, absolutely. So as far as getting other folks, it's the people I'm getting statements from. Again, hopefully the owners in Dunlap will just willingly participate. I don't think anyone wants to have this big, ugly mess, but if there was an acknowledgement of, oh yeah, you know, this is what's going on, that would just clear it all up. But if that's not the case, and Sarah says, yep, I am a Harrison County resident, then we have to go through the hearing with all the information, and we're gonna have to prove it.
Okay, so that's what it's going to take, a public hearing for people to feel like they can trust
I think so, yeah.
what is going on. Okay, one of the reasons I'm running for the District 15 House seat is because I believe rural Iowans have their own separate set of issues, which is way different than what is happening in Des Moines and Council Bluffs. Because we are in rural Iowa, we don't have a dense population, and we do not maybe have the opportunity to have enough attorneys in the area in this situation to run for office. So I guess my question is, Lori, do you think legislation should be changed so that, one, county attorneys are just paid employees, they can live wherever they want, they're just paid employees, or two, do you believe rather a county attorney should run as a district office, much like a House of Representative or somebody running for Congress, where they have their own district that they represent? In my case, it's Harrison County and part of Potawatomi County.
Yeah.
So,
I think having them be paid employees is definitely a viable option. I think that we could have a lot more opportunity. We can have more people coming in who, it would broaden the pool of talent. So maybe instead of having one uncontested person, you have 10 applicants who have a strong history with certain different types of cases, or very strong rural ties. It doesn't matter to me if it's honestly, I don't care if somebody lives in the county or not, except for the fact that it's a law, and in this particular case, circumventing the laws when you're in a position of power, I have serious issues with. So the transparency,
which I think many Americans have.
Yes.
They don't want to see their elected officials breaking laws.
Yes.
I mean, we see it on the news.
Yeah.
Local news, regional news, national news, all the time. People do not want to see elected officials breaking laws.
Yes. So if we put this particular situation aside, yeah, I think we could definitely push towards making some changes so that it's a paid position and people don't have to move. I think that could be very beneficial. Yes.
Good. I have one last question. I read on Missouri Valley Voices last night that people believe Sarah Delante, the current county attorney, is a part-time attorney and not a full-time attorney. Have you received a copy of the ballot? And if so, is it stated on the ballot whether she is a part-time attorney or a full-time attorney? Because when I voted, I thought I was voting for a full-time attorney.
Yeah, so that was news to me. I did not see anything that indicated that it was a part-time position. My understanding is she's making $104,000 annually. She's eligible for the retirement, health benefits. We've got really great county benefits. So if that is the case, that she's working part-time and making that kind of money, I will be very shocked. I will be looking into that because that's a little bit disturbing to me, but I don't know the truth of that.
So when you pull the ballot, is that how so you can see, I'm assuming the ballot's gonna say if it's part-time.
It doesn't say. Typically if it doesn't say.
I don't think it was ever disclosed that it was a part-time position.
No, but I can definitely ask the board, or I can ask the auditor. That's something they can just answer for me. I don't think I need to.
Yeah, I think it should have been disclosed to the public prior to the election if it was just a part-time position.
Yeah. But that would be strange because at that meeting they also were pushing to have a part-time employee move to full-time who is working to help her.
On the meeting on December 4th,
so, yeah.
So she has 2 assistants that will now be almost full-time and full-time.
Yeah, getting the benefits and such. Yeah. So yeah, I'll look into it.
Okay, good. Okay, I want to thank you for your community service and your time today. I believe this is a real issue. I believe this is a today issue. And I believe this affects all Iowans across the state, especially Iowans who live in rural communities. We need to find solutions to everyday problems here in our state. Mm-hmm. My first town hall will be January 10th. At the Missouri Valley Public Library at 10:30 a.m. Again, January 10th at 10:30 a.m. Missouri Valley Public Library. I hope to see you there. Yeah. I hope to see everybody there. Thank you very much. Very interesting, and I really do admire the work you do here for not just people in Missouri Valley, but Harrison County, because it does not go unnoticed. I will tell you that, and it is very important.
Well, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah. You're a good problem solver.